Now in this video, we're going to discuss about stress-strain relation or a diagram for brittle material. So when you when you test the specimen and when you go for the stress and strain curve, so this will be the nature of stress-strain curve, wherein you're going to get the breaking point directly, but we don't get the elastic property and also the proportional limit and the elastic points or elastic limit. And then the upper yield point, lower yield point will not be there. All those things. It's going to be a straight, simple curve for a brittle material. So it is observed from the diagram that the brittle materials do not exhibit the yield point. The deviation of the stress-strain curve from the straight line begins very early and fracture occurs suddenly at the point B, with very small plastic deformation and without necking. So here, it won't follow the stress-strain curve, but initially it will going to have some stress-strain curve, and after that it will going to start yielding the material. At this point, it will going to be the breaking point. So ultimate strength is considered as failure criterion in brittle material. So ultimate strength itself will going to be the failure criterion for brittle materials. Ultimate and breaking point are one and the same. Here in this, there in ductile material, it is there is a changes in the ultimate point and the breaking point, but in this case you don't get, it is almost one and the same. So what are the examples for the brittle material? It can be a cast iron, it can be concrete, it can be glass, it can be stone. Then you have the ceramic materials. So we do have other stress-strain relations for other materials, including non-ferrous metals. Stress-strain diagram for common materials such as high carbon steel, nickel chrome, mild steel, wrought iron and cast iron, copper and cast aluminium. So these are all the various stress-strain curve for all the different temperate materials, wherein you have stress and you have percentage of strain. So steel and wrought iron proportionally exists almost until the yield state points. Steel and wrought iron. So this is the one. This is the steel and this is the wrought iron. This is the wrought iron, wherein proportionality exists among almost until the yield takes place. Copper, cast iron, aluminium and high alloys, no clearly defined limit of proportionality, elastic limit or the yield strength or yield point. So here, this is the one what we are talking about, cast aluminum, copper, cast iron. So you don't get, all those things will not have any clarity picture on the yield point. Now, cast iron behaves like a brittle material which fails without any visible elongation or reduction in area. So cast iron is the one which will going to behave like the brittle material which fails without any visible elongation or reduction in area. So this is the cast iron which we are talking about, and there is no visible changes in the which fails without visible elongation or reduction in area. Now we will go for the figure shows the stress strain for aluminum alloy. It exhibits considerably ductility though it does not have clearly definable yield point. So this is a typical example of an aluminum alloy. It exhibits considerably ductility. So that means you have a linear curve from here to here. After that there is a sudden increase, and then it will going to elongate, and it comes to the, as the strain increases considerably, there is not much stress is being changing here. So though it does not have any clear definable yield point. So that means it exhibits considerably the ductility through it, though it does not have clearly definable yield point. So the figure stress strain curve for hard rubber and soft rubber. The curve for hard rubber is linear up to a very large strain. So you have a very large strain. Up to that, you are going to have the curve. The soft rubber continue to stretch enormously without any failure. As you can see, the soft rubber is considerably increasing and stretch enormously without failure. So next comes the proof stress. It is necessary to cause a non-proportional or permanent extension equal to a defined percentage. You can see here, this is the actual curve which you're going to get. So it will going to be 0.1 to 0.2% of the strain which you are considering. If the specified percentage of 0.2% over the gauge length, the corresponding proof stress is designated as 0.2% of proof stress. The proof stress for material is determined by drawing a line parallel to the linear portion of the stress strain diagram from a point which is at a distance equal to the specified percentage 0.2% strain of the strain on the gauge length. So here what we are trying to do, so this is the yield point, that is the linear curve. So naturally we have to want to draw a linear line parallel to this. So it starts from 0.2% of strain. So the proof stress for a material is determined by drawing a line parallel to the linear portion of the stress strain diagram from a point which is at a distance of 0.2% from the gauge length. So here you have this. So this is how you are going to get adjust to this point. Then you have the rupture strength. It is the stress corresponding to the failure point B of the stress strain graph. So this is what we talk about, the stress strain curve, which is at the B, which is the rupture strength. So now, percentage elongation and percentage reduction in area. So what is that? Percentage elongation is defined as the ratio of increase in gauge length to the original gauge length. So that is the percentage expressed in percentage or in percent. Therefore, percentage elongation is the ratio of increase in gauge length. So what is the increase in gauge length? It is LF minus L0. So where LF is the final gauge length of the length of the rupture and L0 is the original gauge length. So here in terms of the equation or in terms of the relationship, if you want to express, so what is the increase in gauge length? So that is LF, that is original gauge length minus, the final gauge length minus the original gauge length. So that is where LF is the final gauge length of the rupture divided by L0 is the original gauge length into 100. So this is actually, it is only the change in gauge length. So LF minus L0 is the difference. So what is the percentage reduction in area? It is defined as the ratio of maximum change or decrease in cross-sectional area after the fracture of the specimen towards the original cross-section of the specimen or original cross-sectional area of the specimen. It is expressed in percent. Therefore, percentage reduction in area is A0 minus AF by A0 into 100. Why has taken A0? Because here the original cross-sectional area is greater. As it is reduction in the area, so it will going to reduce us in the cross-section. So A0 minus AF by, that is actually the difference what you will going to consider, where A0 is the original cross-sectional area of the test specimen, whereas AF is the cross-sectional area at the neck and waist at the fracture. So as we take up the next, so what happens? It will going to reduce us the reduction in percentage reduction in cross-sectional area. So the cross-sectional area, as the rod is applied with the tensile load, what happens? There will be increase in length, but what happens? The cross-sectional area keeps on decreasing. So which is the area of original cross-sectional area is bigger. Therefore, A0 minus what is the final cross-sectional area, which will going to becomes AF. So here, cross-sectional area in the neck formation or waist at fracture. So naturally it should be lesser than the original cross-sectional area. So therefore, percentage reduction in area in terms of the equation, if you want to specify, A0 minus AF divided by A0 into 100. So this is how. Then we have the working stress. When designing the machine parts, it is desirable to keep the stress much lower than the maximum or ultimate stress, and this stress is called working stress. So what happens when you are designing for the machining parts or machine parts, it is desirable to keep the stress and much lower than the maximum or ultimate stress. So what happens if you have gone for the maximum or ultimate stress as the criteria, then the material will going to immediately, it will going to be broken. So since here we are considering the which in the much lower than that, so we have a flexibility over which it will take some time for the material to reach to the maximum or ultimate stress. Thereby, you are going to reduce the breakage. So, and this stress is called the working stress or permissible stress or design stress or allowable stress. The ratio of ultimate stress to the working stress is called the factor of safety. So what is the working stress? Working stress is the ratio of ultimate stress by the factor of safety. For a ductile material where the yield point is clearly defined, the factor of safety based on the yield stress will be equal to yield stress by the working stress. So for brittle material where the yield point is not well defined, therefore the factor of safety is ultimate stress by the working stress. So this is how you will be able to analyze the ductile material, the behavior of the ductile material. Thank you.